Hey, how you going? Donnie here, and I'm coming here to tell you about something today. What I'm going to talk about is how people play games with what we say. Where we might say to somebody something, and somebody twists it around a little bit to implicate the situation and to put it in a different context. I think it happens all the time. We all do it because it's a little bit of fun, where you want to complicate things for somebody or something like that. I think that people do it all the time, play with words. What I would like to say is about something really important, like religion. I sometimes wonder, how a religious leader can. Incorporate on what it is that's being said. You want to make a lesson out of a scripture, and I think that the scriptures could quite easily be taken out of context or have little bits added to them to make them say something similar but not the same. So to sort of put a dodgy spin on things, like I might be doing now. I think that there are so many different religions. We've got Mormons, we've got traditional Catholics, we've got Orthodox Catholics, we've got Anglicans, we've got procrastinating. No, it's not a procrastinator, it's a Protestant. You've got all the different kinds of churches that you can imagine, with all the different kinds of uh, ways to put things. And we've got the New English version, King James version, New International version, all the different versions of the same thing. And I think that language is something that we're warned about. In some of the scriptures, it says there somewhere. I'm not really an intellectual athlete that can memorize numbers and letters and people and all the rest of it. But the precept for what I'm saying, or the concept, is about people. I forgot what I was going to say now, but I'm not an intellectual athlete, so I can't say all the different letters and numbers and people and all the rest of it to give a specific um, place in the Bible where it says it. But everything what I did hear and pray about has gone into my heart, and I draw on it from when it comes to religious stuff. I think I don't have a perfect memory, but I don't have a good memory for numbers, especially. But when it comes to conceptualizing things, I don't think I have too much problem there. Um, so people have been told to through the Bible that the languages were all jumbled up by God because He'd been upset with people because they've gone into a life of sin, and was all screwed up. So He says, "Right, you know what? I'm going." Maybe He didn't say it like that. Maybe He said differently. But as this Bible has it, the story tells it, God changed all the terminology, or the language, changed all the languages, and all the people had to go their separate ways. And I see this as sort of like a terminology for some things that happen. Let me see. So we've got for I can draw on some biblical terminology concerning a manna, bread coming down from heaven, falling stars, locusts, Um, I don't know. My grandfather said they were pigeons. Yeah, I see a white thing come down, so I've got pigeons up there. God rest with my granddad, but yeah, there's I think a lot of different ways we can explain it, and for some people, these matters are very real. We see them every day. We're told in some cases that they are um, hallucinations on schizo, so just say I'm schizophrenic, have hallucinations, and um, unable to concentrate properly, learning difficulties, scars in my brain. There's a lot of different ways that people can say, oh yeah, that's overside, mate. That's not the way it is. And I don't really want for me to be able to have that in that I've got the way, because I think the way is to be able to take something from the Bible and to conceptualize it from the precept that we're given in the Bible. Or the precept we're given with the Word of God. I'm going to go to Psalm 119. I remember that one because I was taken out of the Bible when they were stripping it and refining it and putting in there what they wanted in there and taking out what they didn't want. And there was a group of 70 people, Septuagint, I think it was called. It was a group of 70 people from all over the world, different languages and stuff. They got together to read and translate and put everything into perspective in the translations. And I think that media has kind of made it more difficult to try and translate the what can be meant for people who are struggling with it. But a lot of people just that there's a lie. It's the Bible. It's not true. It's just rubbish. It's just a way to control the masses. When in actual fact, the Bible is a bunch of stories, a book of books. I believe the word translates to a book of books relating to or pertaining to a certain topic of things that are hard to explain, I would say. And there's no doubt you're going to have a whole heap of different ways to explain something that's unexplainable, just to try and help people to be able to cope with stuff that's stuff that's hard to explain. So yeah, we've come through it all after a couple of thousand years, a few thousand years, 10,000 years, who knows how many thousand years since somebody decided, hey look, I'll come up with an idea where we can use some tools to teach other people how to do it, whatever it is, whether it be eating with a knife and fork or how to make a knife and fork. Somebody put pen to paper or put it down in how it is we're gonna be able to teach people probably to hunt. It was probably the first thing. It's like there's nothing worse than trying to go hunting with somebody who doesn't know how the animals react. You know, if you're hunting, the animals sort of they've got it in their herd, instinctive in their herd, what goes, and they sort of go, and you're trying to hunt them, and off they go, and you have to know how to chase them if you're going to have a successful kill. And I imagine when you get hungry and you're weak, you don't want to sort of make mistakes. You keep making mistakes, then there'll be problems later on. So that's probably why I've got pictures of hunting scenes on caves, because the fellas will bugger off for the weekend and go hunting, teach the boys how to do it. But when it comes to this sort of intellectualism, I guess this idea of being able to teach other people how to hunt was catchy. I was going to teach other people how to govern, how to lead, how to help people cope, how to counsel people, how to relate to people, how to encourage people, lift them up, how to bring a sense of community together, so that a group of people joins together and moves forward in the world as one. I think that these concepts or these precepts that we can reach to because of the need for government in the division. Because we see a herd comes together, and one animal goes this way, the other one goes the other way, then they'll start going running off together another way, and we're sort of, when people working together, we find the same sort of precept, but we need to find those founding principles or precepts that we can draw concepts from, to go on the various tangents, different religions, different ways to catch a tiger. Because there's the old saying that all roads lead to Rome, and we can either look at that and say, well, no roads, not all roads lead to Rome. I see, when you look at it on the map, because this looks like all the roads lead to Rome from an above the ground map, but in reality, not all the roads lead to Rome. It's only the roads around Rome. And but if we were to conceptualise that, the precepts there for an organised body of people that's able to govern, and all the different ways that we can reach out to leadership are the roads to Rome. So getting into the literal translation of what I'm saying, you can't say all roads lead to Rome, but to conceptualise it, put it into a lesson, you can say that all the roads to where you want to go can be met. You can find them through a leader, some kind of leadership in your community, in your nation. You can find your way to wherever you want to go by looking to somebody who knows, some kind of elder, some kind of person who's older. I think that when it comes to trying to respect these older people, when they seem to be hiding something, I think it becomes a bit of a struggle for anybody to sort of respect that these people really want the truth. If they're hiding something in this all roads lead to Rome, some people might say you don't say it as it is. You have to say all roads lead to Rome and when you get out on that road, you'll be headed to Rome. There's no two ways about it. It doesn't matter whether you go north, south, east or west. It's all going to take you to Rome. And some people will say, well, what do you mean by Rome? Other people will say, fuck off. I don't want to hear this shit. I've seen you cunts before. You're all fucking scheming. You're trying to put me on a fucking dodgy path so that you're the one who knows the way and I'm not. Which is a lot of the time what we get from religious people who really want to help us, but at the same time they feel a sense of duty to protect people who may be able to guide us and help us. They feel it in their duty to protect that magic that they're bound up in. I don't think that I would be in the position that I'm in without these kind of influences coming over my life. But there is a, well, because of difference, there is a need for there to be a good influence. But if there was no splitting hairs, was just straight down the line. Everybody wants a safe place to live. Everybody wants a safe place to make a family. Everybody wants a safe place to provide for them. So we've got a whole world full of people who's got the same thing in mind, regardless of religion, regardless of government, regardless of race, regardless of all the things that we can use to individualise ourselves and capitalise on that individuality. But I think the reality of it is that if we humble ourselves and without capitalising on individuality, is that we all want the same thing. And I know maybe gay people they can't have a family, but I think you can't tell them, you can't say that. I don't think that everybody. I think that everybody needs to have an influence over people, even your pets. I don't know how you want to put it, but I don't think. I'm against homosexuality because it's not scientific. I mean, it's a social, it's an influence you can fall under, but it's not a productive one, in my opinion. So it's not one that I can back up with any kind of scientific thing other than I know a lady, she got divorced from her husband. She felt fat and ugly, so she decided she would go out with some women that she met from the university she was going to, and she got with some lesbians and had a bit of a fling with this lesbian. But this lesbian was very dominant personality, and she did not want to let her go. She did not want to, because the person says she didn't want to be in a relationship. She had a few drinks. She was just exploring. It's not really something that she would dedicate herself to. She doesn't feel like she's a lesbian, so she tried to tell this other lesbian that, and it was a disaster. Because this other lesbian was very bossy, she was very blokey, and she pushed this woman and right out of her hometown and away from her kids, and she did a lot of damage to that woman's family. and I think that there's definitely a social aspect to the to the almost social science behind the way behind the choice these homosexual people have made. Um, I'm not going to back it up. I can see that it's a little bit. To me, it's just dodgy, man. You can't tell them they're wrong. You can't tell them they're right. But it's just they want to do that. That's how they will do that. In time, they will come to learn that there's no difference between a man or a woman. It's still interrelating um, situations. But there's a lot of problems that we will face in relationships after being broken down and crushed. But um, we don't have to. We don't have to. Um, we don't have to accept that this broken this brokenness is the foundation for our future. Um, and it's starting to get lost for words here because there was so many different situations that can come up from relationships and trying to relate to other people. And I guess what all I'm trying to say is I can't relate I can't relate to homosexuals and what their choice is. But as far as just being people that I do business with, people that I talk to, anything like that, they've got the same rights as everybody else. Don't get me wrong there. It's just trying to understand that choice they make to be motivated towards the same sex. And I just think that, yeah, each to their own so far as that's concerned. I mean, I've been single for all my life, basically, and it's because I've had distrust in childhood from other people. So it's a matter of had homosexual advances, I've been raped, but it's not. It's I just don't want to have people too close to me. This is cool. I've got the video here. I can watch a video. I can switch it on and off. It's all good. I'm happy with that. It's not something that you have to trust somebody to do the right thing. You know, if somebody you don't agree with, somebody's like click, 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 click. Oh, that looks interesting. I don't know how you found your way here today. Maybe you were just having a click, you were clicking away and thought this might be interesting. There was some kind of reason that you found your way to my video today, tonight. But yeah, people relating to each other under different circumstances, people making things sound a certain way because of their own circumstances. I think that when it comes to language being changed around, that it's a matter of um, people using metaphors, stuff like that, so that they can explain something a little better. Like if there's a white spot so big that falls from the sky, it's like, well, it's like a little bit of bread coming from the sky, because it actually made me think that there was more to my life than what is here in the world. Um, it's like I need to remember that every day. So, your daily bread can come from the sky like that. And because a black one might be a grape, and no, grapes sometimes they're sour, even though they're dark or something like that. It can still mean you can make wine out of that grape, and it will sweeten it up. Or grape, those grapes, if they don't taste too good, a lot of the time I've tasted wine grapes and they don't taste the best. But once you make them into wine, hey mate, they're great. They've got thousands of different varieties of grapes now, and they're not eating grapes, they're wine grapes. So yeah, there's definitely a difference. Olives the same. You try to eat an olive, doesn't matter if it's green or black. It's as bitter. It's very bitter. But you can boil that up and take the oil out of it and use it to light your place at night. It's like how that was thought of. I guess somebody decided they were going to try and make these things edible because there was that many of them. It's like they've got all these fruits to taste and they're all bitter. But I'm sure that we can get that bitterness out of them somehow. And somebody's boiled it up and separated the oil from it and found that it's flammable and made an oil lamp. There's a lot of ways that scientists stumble upon things to through their experiments, and they're probably going to do it in space with this telescope. I think that the new telescope they got up there will spot some things what we've never seen before, and we'll get a close look at some other things. And yeah, they'll rewrite things again. Which brings me to the point of language and rewriting things again. As you become more able to define something, it needs a term of its own. Because over the broad spectrum, it could be apricots, and you find that you've got Turkish apricots from that part of Turkey, you've got Turkish apricots from the other part of Turkey, you've got them Turkish apricots from them ones and them ones, but they come from over there in that country. Before you know it, you've got thousands of different varieties of the same fruit. And it's sort of like the language. We've got to get it right down to the very root precept for the religion, for the government, for the whole bit, and make it transparent so that people realise they don't have to hide things in there, they don't have to say this is the only way, this is the only language, this is the only, you look to this leader, this is the only one. I understand what Jesus may have been saying, what he could have said, what a lot of leaders, people in a position to be able to lead other people in a spiritual manner, to Buddhist, whatever, is that all people pretty much want the same thing. Safe place to live, make a family, and provide for everyone. I'm saying I'm starting to repeat myself, but I just can't seem to get it through. So many people that as soon as they hear a terminology, they're like, you hear the name of Jesus, it's like, nah, that's a fucking lie. Or God, it's like, yeah, nah. It's like those words have been those people have been attacked with that terminology. Somebody has been hiding within that structure that's part of that terminology, church, and I've just screwed with them and made them feel like they're being controlled and manipulated, and their individuality has been destroyed, or taken away, their culture, all this sort of thing. And it's like, if you give something good to a bunch of arseholes, they turn it into a load of shit. It's what arseholes do. What can we say? Other than to get right back to the start and say, hang on a minute, Jesus isn't the one who's the problem, mate. It's just people who were trying to probably had the right idea in mind. The Jews wanted to get in with the Romans. The Romans are world leaders. They've got a big army. They can get in with become a part of that infrastructure and go all around the world, and have taken Christianity all around the world with this magic for a um, as a way. Well, with this, forget magic. I, I can't. I haven't got anything up my sleeves. I have got sleeves, but yeah, what's under them is me. What's up there? Yeah, it's me under. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is that um, there are a number of ways. There's a lot of ways. There's a few ways. There's basically one way that came through. It was with Moses and the commandments. It was probably the number one part of the or Abraham. He was came from. It was Moses was before him, I think. I couldn't be sure. I don't really know the timeline, but the way I would understand it would be that Moses was before Abraham, and Moses came up with the Ten Commandments after the Exodus, after they marched out of the infrastructure, the dysfunctional um, kingdom of the Egyptians. Well, there's only so much you can be as a servant. We realise that we're never going to get anywhere with this problem. This stuff they believe in is a load of shit. It's just a lot of crap that's been put in a way to keep other people down lower to do all the work. They sit around all day, scratching their ass and eating fruit. It's not a difficult thing to work out. Isn't to why people want to get away from it. It's not fair. We can get out of here. And I mean, building some of the world's biggest structures, or people in construction or whatever, they're proud of that. You know, oh yeah, I helped to make the Sydney Harbour Bridge. I was on the crew for the Opera House and all that. There is a certain amount of pride that goes into that kind of work. But once it's all said and done, and you're just sort of taking the sacrificial things here and there, and you're not really building anything anymore. You're just like a servant within this infrastructure, and you're never going to get anywhere. You just had to take this over there, burn it, and clean up the scraps, and then go and wash the walls or whatever. I don't know what they had to do. It must have been a bit daunting to think, well, this is it. What happened to our vision for the even bigger pyramid than the one that was there? You know, what happened to this nation we're becoming a part of? It just seems to be crumbling. And as a worker, that's how I would see it. And with the freedom that we enjoy now, it's obviously we get involved in our own projects and things what we've got to make to distract us from the infrastructure that doesn't let us get any bigger or better than it. So it's like a machine that needs us to be participating in it for it to keep going. It's understandable why people want a safe place to live. Hey, living under an infrastructure, you've got an army to protect it. Everything the Jews had the right idea. They were on board with that part of it. What the Romans believed about religion, I'm not sure if the Romans had a religion. I think Rome was the mob. I think they had different people from all over the world that sort of brought their own ideas. But under Rome, there was under a democracy, I guess, or communism, an empire, the Roman Empire. That sounds about right. That had a vision to reach the far corners of the globe and to reap the resources that were there and make it belong to Rome. And I guess the idea for it really took off because And it seems like that world business is all about that, regardless of the damage it's done to the planet, which is another story. But yeah, the terminology that we use, it can be all traced back to a root word, a root meaning, and a root cause. Uh, that's what I want to. That's what I was saying. That's all, and sort of bring it down to a low simmer now, and just relax, thinking about how it is so many words, different words, can mean the same thing. And okay, it's important to enjoy your peace. If you want to enjoy the peace that comes from knowing or understanding these words, is not to tell people what they mean, but to just listen to where people is coming from, and the terminology that they use, and it can help you to just accept that they have the same core uh, relationship with the world as everyone else. Safe place to live, make a family, and that's all anybody wants. So no, guy, he's been talking about antinatalism. Don't have kids, don't bring kids into this. It's not the right place for kids. The world's going to blow them up. People's going to kill them, they're going to destroy them, they're going to make it so that they can't get anywhere in life. And I think he's right. But if you give your kids the tools to be able to overcome these problems that they will face, then who can stop them, man? Who can stop them? They want to live. I mean, we all want to live. Bodies just keep on going to live. Drive, sex drive. I just want to get into it. It's life. And it must be rewarding. I mean, I don't have kids, but it must be rewarding to see your kids face a struggle where they really, they don't face a struggle and just overcome it. Just beat it down with some kind of precept or concept that you gave them as they were learning to walk or something like that. It must be an enormous reward being a parent, to be able to see your kids go through life, taking on each challenge as they go and overcoming it as best they can. My challenge is to try and get close to people. I just cannot fucking do it. I'm sorry, but I just won't. I'm pretty sure about it. I think the majority of people who I have anything to do with know that I'm on my own and have no intentions of, don't even try to start anything with anybody, because there's a better place for me to be, I think, and having somebody else in a position to be able to manipulate me or distract me from my goals, or even change. Yeah, it could work, man. And I think there's a lot of other people who's out there. I think there's a lot of other people who feel the same way. You know, with that antinatalism, black pill, or whatever. One of the guys I follow, Rita McLeod, he's flat out on it. He's only a young bloke, he's American, but it's like, that's what I guess. There's quite a few young people who's like that. I want to never have kids. Why would I want to bring kids into this world? I face enough struggles in this world of myself. Why would I want to put anyone else through it? And it is an attitude that you have when you're young, but once you get a bit older, sort of you can appreciate, well, I wasn't able to overcome the problems that I faced because the problems were too great for me alone. For me, the problems were too great for me to cope with. So the coping mechanism that I developed was one where I knew was what was what. When I knew what was what because I'm on my own. I don't have to worry about what somebody else is thinking or what somebody else is planning. You know, a single mum and dad was, mum was always, she, she was always putting, I'm just watching the time here, got 40 minutes, probably too long. So yeah, but leaving my family problems out of it, or the problems my family had out of it. So it's like I see that the majority of people have their own objectives to meet in life, along with those of other people they're responsible for and with. So there's a group goal, there's an individual goal, there's a couple of tangents that can go on in between. So yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not a. So you can't. But that's it. You can fill in the spaces with whatever suits you. But I'm gonna fill in this space by saying, good boy. I will see you next time I decide to make a video, and you've got half an hour or so to watch it. You won't get the time back.